So how much of a downside is this? There's language and distance.
The price is incredible. I pay 93 cents a hat. I sell them for 20, 25.
How about just that it might be nice to source from an American company?
I
as
do.
an American.
I do. And it's not easy. They close on Thursday. They go home early on Friday. They're back ordered. They send me the wrong stuff, I'm telling you, I've had more problems with U.S. companies. And I want to make my stuff here.
That was a clip from The China Question, a documentary exploring the challenges facing America as China becomes the world's second superpower. Filmmaker Brook Silva-Braga spent over a year traveling in both China and the U.S. to understand the economic, political, and moral implications of China's rise. And he joins us now. Brook, great to see you.
Yeah, good to be here.
That's a pretty striking scene right there, which kind of sums up, I guess, the problem for United States companies. He can make a hat for 98 cents in China and sell it back here for $25.
So why would you make one here?
Right.
Why would you?
Well, you won't. You wouldn't, and you don't, as it turns out.
Yeah, it's depressing.
Now, tell us about that guy's story, because he said explicitly, I want to make my product in the United States, but there's no incentive for me to do it.
Yeah, there really isn't, and the companies that have tried have found out that it doesn't really work. I was down in Demopolis, Alabama, as New Era, the cap company that makes Major League Baseball hats. They closed their factories down in Alabama. They had tried for years to make it work, and ultimately decided they couldn't.
And what are the complaints that he has about producing in China? Is the quality worse, or what? I mean, we know what happens when you make it here. It costs too much. But what about making it there?
Quality at this point is pretty good in China. What is difficult is the communication gap, not just the literal language gap, but different customs, different time zones. What you think is a deal, they may not think is a deal. So there are difficulties in doing it, and then some of the people we feature in the movie try to fill that gap and try to play middlemen between the U.S. and China, and it's those middlemen that often make a lot of the money, more than the factories in many cases.
You know, a lot of people will refuse in America as a matter of principle to buy something made in China. Your mother.
She does, yeah.
Is one of them. But at some point, there's not going to be much of a choice, is there?
Well, you can't buy USA, but you can not buy China. My mom does it. It's not easy. It means that she doesn't buy everything she might like to. It means she spends more time in the mall when she's looking to buy something.
And why is that? Why did your mother take that stand?
Well, she did it for a few reasons, and we kind of frame the movie through her reasons. And it's a combination of the moral and the economic. She's worried about sweatshops. She's worried about human rights, how Tibetans are treated, and she's also worried about American workers and what will happen to the U.S. economy should we shift so much wealth there.
Yeah.
But it seems to be an exercise in futility at this point. I mean, just about everything you buy, if you look inside the label, it's starting to say made in China.
My sister wanted to ask, have you checked the bottom of your coffee cup?
Uh-oh.
You know what? I saw Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich. This didn't go well for Newt. And we're not gonna say anything right now. We're gonna.
Ni hao.
We're gonna just hold off on that.
I guess my question would be: have we given up on manufacturing in this country? I mean, yeah, we get the whole deal about the cost of manufacturing here versus anywhere else in the world.
But you know what's interesting, though, Michael, is yes, China's taking our jobs. You know whose jobs we're taking now? Germany's.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a constant. It's a constant circle where Germany's. They're not going to build their Mercedes in China, but they've actually found a workforce that's cheaper and they believe more efficient, and they can build quality cars right here. But it is moving all times.
It is, but the interesting part isn't that that cup is made in China or the baseball hats are made in China.
Wait, first of all, let me just say, my client has neither confirmed or denied that. Put it down. Put it down. You don't have to answer the question.
I'm just saying hello.
You're not on
Chinese.
trial. All right.
Okay.
The U.S. doesn't need to make coffee cups and hats, as long as it's making higher value things. But China gets that. And increasingly, they're trying to move into higher value add items, and they have a really smart way to do it. They say, okay, General Motors, okay, Boeing, you want to sell us a bunch of cars, you can. But you're going to have to source the parts from China. We're going to have to learn how you do it. And so one of the professors I speak to in the movie says, okay, Boeing is selling all these planes to China right now. In 30 years, 90% of our fleet will be domestic because we're learning how to make planes from Boeing.
Yeah. So tell me, how long were you in China?
I was there over the course of 2 years, about 4 months shooting.
Did you get the sense, so many people, Mika's father comes back, and my
Yeah.
gosh, everybody that comes back, all the foreign policy leaders that come back, all say that you look at their infrastructure, you look at the way they're growing, it's like they're a 21st century country, and we seem like we're stuck back in 1978. Do you get that feeling when you come back to the United States? As far as infrastructure goes?
The U.S. is less developed. I made a good friend in a city you probably never heard of called Ningbo, a city of about 4 million. She came to go to college in the U.S., and she didn't want to ride the New York City subway because it was so gross to her.
Yeah.
Because the subways are so modern there, and New York is just kind of dirty and unappealing.
Willie, what was that? What was that statistic in the
Okay.
New York Times article that in the time it's going to take us to build one small train spur
To D.C., from New York to D.C.
that China is going to do an entire underground subway system in a city. Major. It's just, they're moving at just extraordinary pace. Now, is there a chance that that bubble bursts?
Well, you mentioned trains. Maybe they're moving too fast. There was the tragic train accident last week, killed 40, injured close to 200. And some in China believe, on the Chinese blogosphere, the calls have gotten very loud, we're moving too fast, and we're not able to keep pace with this development. So that is the question. Are they accelerating towards a speed bump, or are they going down a highway and they'll pass us?
Yeah, how's this, what societal strains are you picking up? Any?
I think it's very, very hard to know.
Wow. Okay.
Interesting. I still believe that there's hope for American manufacturing. I mean, I get the whole competitive nature and the fact that, you know, I know in our state, in Maryland, it was 30-some percent, 34, 35% of our economy at one time. Now it's down to 7%. And if you look at reinvesting in the sense that you put back in trade schools, you know, put the trade schools back on the table, get kids focused on particular skills, you can begin to compete at that level as well. And it's not just about the cost necessarily, but it's about the incentives overall that we're willing to commit to make sure that we can keep pace, because as you noted, you're going to get down that road a little bit, and you're going to hit a speed bump in China, and we want to be right there when they do.
Well, and you know, there is a reason, again, why Mercedes and Nissans and other cars are being produced in the Southeast, and not in, you know, in Tennessee and Alabama, and BMWs in South Carolina, in Georgia, and not being produced in Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, and New York. It's because of workplace rules and because of taxes. And at some point, this country's just going to have to understand that people make decisions like New Balance, New Era, based on economic decisions. Where can I make these products and keep our company doors open?
Yeah, and to Chairman Steele's point, when you talk to people across the ideological spectrum, what they agree on is what the U.S. needs to do is educate. The battle is not going to be doing stuff with your hands. It's going to be doing stuff with your mind. That's right. And that's what we need to get better at.
The documentary is The China Question. Brook Silva-Braga, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Brooke.
Good to
Appreciate
meet you.
it.